going here, right? So he owed $200 in the beginning, but 9 years later, he was still in debt. So how much did he owe after 9 years? And there's the answer. Okay, and that's Robbie. There's Robbie living up there in Ottawa. Notice he's got that fuzzy sign behind him that you can kind of make out what company that is. But I mean, check out the heading there, right? $200 turns into 31 grand. If that hasn't convinced you to stay away from payday loan places, then I don't know what else to say. There's a question about, is there any positive side of cashing money with these types of loans? I'm just going to encourage you to just don't go down that road in the first place. If you can possibly help it, just stay away, because it is really, it's like going in tap dancing in a minefield. Okay, maybe you'll be able to get across the minefield. Okay, I don't know. Maybe you're lucky. Maybe you're the luckiest person in the world. But check out Robbie's situation. He doesn't look too happy, and you can understand why, right? Anyway, we get to turn the page here, and we go to turning the page. I get another drink of water.
Richard, did you see? I'm sorry, because I was just on a call. I just took a call, but I know there's a comment here about, is there a positive side of cashing money with these?
I had just actually answered.
Okay.
I would prefer to see people just stay away from those places entirely.
Okay. Yeah. I just wanted to see if you touched on. I apologize.
Yeah. I mean, maybe in some remote circumstances, you could probably find something positive to say. I'm not going to say it. Like, I just want you to stay away, please. Okay. Anyway, our final part here, we're looking at credit histories, their importance. I'm going to mention things like credit score, credit report, and then we're going to shift into a Q&A session here. So what we have coming up here, I have 4 topics in this part. You can see them there: how to check your own credit, why it matters, what I think you need to know, and finally, we get to building or rebuilding credit. So first off, how do you check your own credit? Before I dive into this, one thing I want to say, if any of you have ever heard that, if you've ever been told that when you check your credit score goes down, that is a myth. There is no effect at all when you check your own credit. If you're ever in a debate with somebody who says, well, I was told, like, just say it's a soft inquiry. Soft inquiries don't affect your credit. So you know that if somebody's telling you that, if you check your credit, it goes down, they don't know what they're talking about. Okay, it's a myth. Please stop believing that stuff. Anyway, on the slide here, you
Richard,
see...
I'm so sorry to jump in. I think it's worth noting to everyone the difference between you checking your own credit and a store or something checking your credit to see if you would qualify for something.
True. That's something that I was going to get to a little bit when we get into looking at what actually affects credit.
Sure. I just want to make sure they understand the difference between the two.
Yeah, so that's the thing is that people need to know that you can check your own credit anytime you want, and it has no effect. Now, I'm actually going to focus on 2 preferred methods of checking credit. So number 1 is, as you see up the top, your bank's website. So what I'd like you to do, if you have never checked your credit before and you're like, oh, how would I do this? Wherever you happen to bank, I'm assuming that everybody, you know how to use the internet, you know how to get online, you know how to access your bank's, banking services electronically, right? So if I say your bank's website, you don't go, oh, what is a bank's website, right? So anyway, check your bank's website, see whether or not your bank offers any kind of free electronic way of checking your credit. I bank at one of the big 5, okay? And they make it so easy. I log on, and there's actually a link, kind of like over on the side of the screen and down at the bottom. There's a link that actually says view your credit score. I click on that link. Bam, it's like one click and then I can see my score, and I click once more, I can see the report. It's all boom, boom, it's right there. So depending on where you bank, you might find it really, really simple. If you bank at an institution that isn't offering, I'm sorry if that's the case, but sometimes there's banks that aren't really as advanced as other banks. I'm not going to go start naming any places, but anyway, let's say you bank someplace that no, they don't give you any kind of easy access to your credit. So your next method that I'm going to recommend is, of the two credit bureaus, there's Equifax and there's TransUnion. I find the Equifax website to be the more organized of the two, the easier to navigate. So if you go to the Equifax website and you just type into a browser, equifax.ca, you don't need to type anything else, Equifax.ca, and it'll take you on a redirect to their consumer landing page. And what you do is you scroll down the page. You don't click on the big orange button up at the top because they're trying to sell you stuff. So don't click on the big orange button at the top. Scroll down to the bottom, and you're looking for the area that says click here for your free. You're looking for the word free credit score and free credit report. Okay, you click there, boom, that's it. It takes you to a registration page. You got to register. But then once you've done that, you can check your credit with Equifax anytime you want. They give you fresh information once a month. So you can come back once every month, take a look, say, oh, okay, great, wonderful. And you can see what if anything has changed, what sort of stuff gets reported. It's a one-stop, look at what's happening with your credit. Now, there's two terms I want you to remember. First off, this credit score. I know this credit score is it's a number. That's all it is. It is a number. Then there's the credit report, and the report is a collection of all the information that's used to create the score. So first off, we're going to just talk a little bit about the score. And okay, the score, you can see, my little colored arc there, which I didn't do a really good job of coloring because anyway, I needed to get it done kind of quickly, and it was sort of put it together. But okay, just going to walk you through what it should look like. So between 700 and 900 is the green area. Okay, if your credit score is above 700, congratulations, you're done. You're in the club. You're in the good enough club. And 80% of all credit scores are above the 700 line. So 80% of all credit scores, I don't really care if your credit score is 710 or 895, you're all in the good enough club. So that's what you want to aspire to be, somewhere above 700, and great, wonderful, you're done. If you're between 600 and 700, you're in this land of, you're sometimes you're good enough, sometimes you're not good enough. And a lot of organizations, as we're going to get to in a second, they're looking just at the score. If you're below 600, my recommendation for somebody who's below 600 is it would be a good idea for you to talk to somebody. It could be a credit counselor. It could be another knowledgeable professional in our kind of field. But talk to somebody about what's going wrong with your credit and what you need to do to make that look better. I am going to mention specifically, again, remember I work for a nonprofit credit counseling service. Now, we are part of an umbrella body of all credit counseling services, all nonprofit credit counseling services across Canada. I'm mentioning the nonprofit specifically because the Canadian Bankers Association and the credit bureaus have agreed that they would let credit counselors from the nonprofit agencies, they are able to do a soft pull of an Equifax credit report. So soft means that there's no effect. It doesn't affect your credit score at all. But it allows the credit counselor to see what factors are contributing to a low credit score, and then to counsel people appropriately. So we can say to people, hey, here's what's going on here. Here's what's dragging down your credit, and here's what we recommend you do about it. So if your credit score ever turns up below 600, understand that the world of finance doesn't like you very much. They're looking at you and they're thinking, oh, risky, oh no, avoid. And that score, the score is relevant because the score is actually what's being used by, you can see the bullet points in this slide here. Banks and other lending organizations, cell phone and other utility companies, landlords. I think that's not a secret anymore that landlords are checking your credit. And what they're doing there is they're looking just at the score. They're not looking at any deeper information. They're looking at the number and they're saying, is the number above a threshold level, yes or no? So if I use an example of one organization, I'll just mention Canada Mortgage and Housing Corporation, or CMHC. So I know that if people are looking for, they're looking for mortgage insurance, and the application is going through CMHC, CMHC will take one look at the credit score. They don't look at anything else. They look at the credit score and they say, is it above 600? If it's above 600, the door is open for you. If it is below 600, they slam the door in your face and they're like, go away. And that's the way the world works, is that the score is something that it's like a passport to being a first-class citizen. If your score is high enough, everybody says, oh, we like you and we trust you. And you are, well, I have on the slide here, I say trustworthiness and responsibility. I was like, you are trustworthy, you are responsible. And if you're below a certain level, it's like, no, you're not, go away. Now, if you have any level of curiosity as to what's going on there at all, I'm going to recommend that if you are looking at your score, you also look at your report. So the report, I'm not going to spend a lot of time talking about what's in the report, because I'm hoping that people actually have a level of curiosity where you're like, maybe I should actually go and read this. It'll take you 5 or 10 minutes. Okay, it's really, really simple. Your bank's website, to see if they have a link there, or the Equifax, go and register there, and you can take a look at your score, like, oh, that's my score. And then you click on the different tabs on the side there, and it shows you all the different things that are going on. And you can see what I've got there. I've got like a listing of the sort of things that you're going to find. You'll find actually more on an Equifax, more than just the basic 4, but it'll all be pretty straightforward there. And I think that 5 or 10 minutes you spend actually reading through it will do a lot more than me explaining stuff all the rest of the morning. Although I see we do have a question that's come in, so let's take a quick look at that. Credit that's a really good question there, actually, about credit does not cross international borders. So your credit in Canada is your credit in Canada. You could be a totally different person in another country where you got great credit there and no credit here, or vice versa. So that was a really, really good question that was asked, by the way. Thank you very much for doing that. Again, I'm really going to encourage people to this section here on credit report, and also the next slide here about credit ratings. A rating is code for reporting the status of your payments. So without getting too much into the detail here, I mean, if you're looking for detail, you're going to be able to have a look at a PDF copy of the slide deck. This is slide 42. If you want to read through the whole thing, great and wonderful. But I'll tell you that most people, most of the time, they have a rating that is the second one from the top. It says R1, pays as agreed within 30 days of billing. That's what the world wants to see from you. They want to see you making your payments as agreed, being up to date. And that's what winds up rewarding you when we get into how the scoring system actually works, which is actually, before we get to Q&A time, I've got a few more slides to run through here, and I'm going to run through. I've got the 5 slides that talk about credit scoring, and I'm using what the FICO organization describes as the 5 major elements, the 5 elements of their credit scoring formula. They don't disclose the formula to anybody. Nobody ever gets to see the formula, but they talk about the 5 things that move the formula. And I'm going to go through them in reverse order. So first off, I'm going to talk about the ones that are less significant. So less significant, we got inquiries there. Inquiries looks at the number of times that you've pursued new credit in the trailing 12 months. So Holly came on a few minutes ago to mention, like, okay, if you're at a department store and you're at Walmart, okay, and Walmart's like, well, do you want do you want a Walmart MasterCard? And you're like, yeah, a Walmart MasterCard. I always wanted a Walmart MasterCard. So, of course, they're going to get you to fill something in. And that allows them to do a hard inquiry or a hard hit on your credit. You'd find that one inquiry makes your credit score wobble a little bit. Okay, it's about all it does. And then the effect of it would actually smooth out over the course of the next year, because inquiries actually only affect the score for 12 months from the time that the hit actually went in. What happens if you have multiple inquiries is they have a magnifying effect. So I met somebody once who was at a point of financial desperation. She applied for 4 credit cards on the same day. Now, applying for 4 credit cards on the same day, that means you've got 4 inquiries happening on the same day. And that is absolute poison to your credit score. You know, if you go and say, let's apply for every credit card out there, well, sorry, you're going to watch your credit score just go like that, because the inquiries area is basically, it's a trigger that's looking for unwise behavior by you. So anyway, don't stress too much about inquiries. Most of the time, it doesn't matter that much. Account mix is something that, again, for now, I'm going to say don't worry about it very much. It looks at a consumer's ability to pay multiple forms of credit without difficulty. So if you look at your typical middle-aged Canadian, what are they doing? They've got their mortgage they're paying, they got their car loan they're paying, they got their credit cards they're paying, they got their line of credit they're paying. You know, they've got these different things they're paying, right? They're paying all of those. Account mix recognizes that and says, oh, they're very organized, and your credit score goes up. Okay, next thing I don't want you to worry about, length of history. Length of history is your reward for using credit for a longer period of time. If you want to think about it as a reward for becoming old, you can think of it that way. If you wonder why older people have credit scores in the 800s, length of history is often, that's the reason behind it. Now, what I've looked at so far, those are the smaller 3. They're nice to have, and someday they will make your credit score go into the 800s, not just the 700s. But I want you to focus right now on the big 2. The big 2, the smaller of the big 2, is what we call credit utilization or credit utilization ratio. And that is where we look at the relationship between your balances and your limits. The credit scoring formula takes into account what your limits are and what your balances are, and it turns it into a percentage. And that percentage, if it's a low percentage, it means you're low risk, and a high percentage means you're high risk. So let's say you got one credit card and your credit card limit is here. Okay, there's your limit. But you're a good grace period person. Remember grace period? So what do? Your balance goes up, your balance goes down. Balance goes up, balance goes down. Up, down, up, down. As long as it's going back down some of the time, that means some of the time that balance is back down at 0 again, right? So if the balance is 0 divided by whatever the limit is, let's say the limit is $1 million. So 0 divided by $1 million, percent is 0, right? 0 is a low number. Low number means low risk. Low risk means higher credit score. That's all you need to know about this credit utilization is don't run your balances too high, too close to the limit and leave it there. So if your limit's here and your balance is here, that's a problem. So don't do that. Now, the final thing, the real big driver of credit is this, the payment history. Are the payments being made as agreed and on time? And when it comes to building credit, this is it. This is what you need to know. You need to have a record of payments that are being made as agreed and on time. I have a last couple slides here before I get to Q&A time. One slide here, it addresses the question of bad credit. What exactly makes credit bad? And I've got 3 panels here on this slide. From the left, we have, first off, negative payment history in the past. So what is negative? I've talked to people who they're all stressed out because, oh, my payment was due on Wednesday, but today is Thursday and I'm making the payment today. I'm late. Oh, no, boo-hoo. And they're all worried about that. Okay, 1 day late. I mean, it's late, okay? And I tell people don't be late, but still, it takes a while for an organization to decide something is actually negative enough that they actually care about it. So there's your issue is, when does something become negative enough? And it depends. It's important to try to make payments on time or ahead of time all the time. But when something is actually becoming negative, that's where you start to get phone calls from an organization. They're saying, well, today is October the 27th, and we're still waiting for your September payment. Okay, that's not a good phone call. They're waiting for your September payment, and we're almost at November. Yeah, they're letting you know that they are just about to start blowing up your credit. You better get a payment in, like you better have the payment there on its way today, getting it to them, and telling them payment. Oh, terribly sorry, something must have messed up here. Won't happen again. And then if you tell them it won't happen again, make sure it doesn't happen again. Anyway, negative payment history in the past. So in the past, depends on how far in the past it is. I'll tell you that if you missed a payment, and that missed payment was anywhere in the last 6 months, you're on everybody's radar screen. Everybody's waiting to see, are you going to get back on track properly? And at that point, like, if you miss another payment, your credit is going to turn ugly very, very quickly, because now it looks like something is going wrong in your life, and you're unable to make your payments. Even for the first year, if you've got a missed payment for the first year, really consider yourself as you're on probation at that point. You got to make sure that you don't have 2 missed payments in a year. Now, once you get to be more than a year from that missed payment, the effect of it starts to diminish, less and less and less. If you get something that's more than 2 years behind, that you missed a payment, but that missed payment was in, let's say, 2019, and now we're in 2022. At this point, somebody has a missed payment 3 years back, I'd be saying it's going to have a very, very tiny effect on your credit. Not even worth worrying about it anymore. Anyway, if you continually miss payments, at some point they're going to say, we don't want you as a customer anymore. And they're going to hand your file to a collection agency. And believe me, nobody wants to talk to collection agents. They are not paid to be friendly. In fact, they're paid to be quite unfriendly. And if you ever talk to a collection agent, you understand why I say you don't ever want to talk to a collection agent in your life. The last panel there about derogatory items on credit history. That derogatory is something we use to describe things like a bankruptcy, a consumer proposal, lawsuits and judgments, and things that it show that somebody was having financial problems and they became insurmountable. So they just, they had to go and do something, or the creditor had to do something to try to get their money back. And things like that, anything that is in collections or derogatory, you need to know this. First off, the 6-year rule. Nothing negative can stay on a credit report forever. Your magic number is 6 years. And if you have anything bad on a credit report, you need to take a look at that credit report closely and take a look and say, okay, at what point does this actually disappear off the credit report? For people who have anything that's damaging their credit, it's important to know about proper credit usage. What you're doing is you're trying to show something good in the present that will eventually overcome what's occurred in the past. And finally, on the right panel of this slide, we have you need something that shows 3 things: activity, payment, low percentage of credit usage. So activity and payment, like when I was talking about payments being made as agreed and on time, anybody who's using a credit product at all, and there was a question that was asked a while back. Hang on a second. I'm just going to go back to in the chat there. Somebody had asked about using a credit card. Is it the best strategy to improve credit score? Yeah, pretty much that. What it boils down to is that for a lot of people, they've discovered that it's possible to game the system, that they will have a credit card. They'll use the card perhaps once a month for something that's a low cost purchase. They go to the supermarket, buy some bread and milk and eggs, use the credit card to pay for that. Doop, there we are. We've got the activity. We demonstrated that we're still alive, we're still out there, we still remember how to use a credit product. Then we go back home and we make a payment, pay things off. Great, wonderful. We've ticked the boxes for activity, tick the box for payment, and finally we tick the box for low percentage of credit usage. There we are. We've covered all the bases. So on that note, we are at the point where we have a little bit of time left, and we are up to the questions and comments. And I will mention that in the slide deck, we do have a last couple of slides there. One, I just realized actually that is promoting the webinar that occurred last night. So that's now available as a recording. And it still has the to be determined. We actually have a webinar coming up next Wednesday where anyway, if you were interested in it, please visit the creditcanada.com/education page and you'll find more information about that. And then the last slide in the slide deck that you will have sent out to you has contact information for Credit Canada. But anyway, on that note, let's take a look and see do we have anything. If anybody has anything they want to tell you what I'll do at this point. Hit the stop share. There we are. If you have any questions, comments, you can put things into the chat if you prefer to. If you're shy, you can just use the chat. If you are outspoken, you can take yourself off mute, put your hand up, whatever. And if after 90 minutes of listening to me go on about finances enough for you, then anyway, your lunch is coming up soon, I assume. I'm gonna get a drink of water here. Somebody's asked is it just me or I can't hear. So can somebody else comment? Are you able to hear me? Okay.
Yep, I'm able to hear.
Okay, so, right, the audio seems to be working okay. Just one person is having an issue with the audio. And Holly is indicating that she's going to send the slide deck, so good enough. We got that coming out. Holly, I'm not sure. We might have a shy group here, or we might have a group that's figures they've heard enough of me. I don't know, but okay. I see. Okay, a couple of things. One question came in.
There was one just before that. I don't know if you got to it. It was talking about if you have no credit at all, how do you recommend that I start?
Oh, okay. Actually, sorry, I missed that one. Okay, I missed that.
One was first, and then there's a second one about a credit score.
Okay, so no credit whatsoever. What I'd recommend in a case like that is talk to your bank. Let your bank know wherever you happen to have your banking relationship. Let them know that you've been made aware that it would be a good idea for you to develop something in terms of having a credit history, and what kind of product would they offer, or what kind of product would they recommend? And I'd say as a good first step, find wherever it is that you happen to do your banking, ask there, and chances are they're going to wind up offering you a very low limit credit card, and that's your opportunity to demonstrate that you've internalized the point there about, okay, use it, pay it, like that activity, usage, low percentage of credit usage, like the activity plus payment. Do that, and anyway, you're on your way. And the other question was, what would I personally do if I had less than a 600 credit score? So what I do first off, if it was me, I had credit looking pretty awful, I would want to make sure I knew exactly what was driving that down so low. So if it was something that I wasn't aware of, if it was a mistake or a glitch or something like that, I would be on Equifax and TransUnion. I would be on their website filling out the forms to say, hey, there's bogus information here. It's not me. Get that off the credit report as quickly as possible. I'd be, morning, noon, and night, I'd be like just be like noise in their ears until they fixed it. If it was something that was something that I hadn't paid off, something that I'd run something up and hadn't been able to pay it off, I'd be looking at whether there's anything I could do to myself, my own ability to go and catch things back up again. If not, I would probably be talking to, let's say I had some massive debt that was trashing my credit. I'd probably be talking to either a credit counselor or a licensed insolvency trustee about methods of cleaning that up. Depending on my own financial circumstances, that could be, what's called a debt consolidation program to, clean debts up, put them all together, have them paid off sequentially. A consumer proposal, which would be pretty much me paying off part of it, and the rest of it, the consumers the lenders having to write off. Or if the circumstances dictated a full bankruptcy, where it'd be kind of like, I'm broke, I got no money, I can't pay it back, and I just want to make it all go away. I see a question about how long does it take to build a good score that's about average. I'll give you an example of somebody I'm aware of who she was an immigrant to Canada. She arrived in Canada in August of 2019. So she arrived here, no credit history. She opened up a bank account at one of the big five. She applied for a credit card. She got the credit card right away. And through the fall of 2019, she used the card, paid the card, used the card, paid the card. Grace period, right? Use it, pay it, use it, pay it, use it, pay it. She checked her credit score at the end of January 2020. So that's 5 months in Canada. So 5 months of building credit. And when she checked her credit score came up. It was between 710 and 720. So remember I said the 700 line, you want to be above the 700 line. So starting from 0, 5 months, she did it. But she did everything right. I mean, it's just like what I've just been saying for the last 90 minutes, she just did it. And half a year, boom, she was in. So I see there's actually one hand up, but there's also, I think the thing in the chat came up first, so I'll just do that one. Is it a good idea to loan money, to borrow money to get your credit up? Say if I put, I see, borrowing money and then investing the money in a high interest savings account.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't explain that fully.
Yeah, actually, the thing is that the fact that you're making the payments would reflect positively on your credit report. The only thing is that the differential between because banks aren't stupid, they're going to say, well, you borrowing money, we're going to charge you an interest rate here, and now you're lending us money, and we're going to pay you even on the high interest account. The interest is going to come in here. Otherwise, if it was the other way around, everybody and their brother would be out there, lend me money so I can stick it in your high interest account. So it's always going to be like, they're always going to be, okay, we charge you this and we pay you this. So you're going to be money down. And so what you're doing there is you are paying to build your credits, to get a good credit score. I'd say if you're trying to build it, I'm going to recommend low balance, low limit credit card. Use it, pay it. Use it, grace period it, Anyway, so hope that helps.
Yeah. I was kind of thinking about what you said about paying for your credit score, and that was kind of why I was worried about it and why I wanted to ask. Anyway, thank you.
Fair enough. We had Alabi, your hand went up before Navitha got her question in. So Alabi, you're next, and then we get to Navitha.
Okay, yeah, thank you. Yeah, I'm a newcomer in Canada, and I've not gotten any credit cards. And I'm trying to search for a house, and it's been so difficult to get one. So I don't know, because we don't have a credit, the landlord are not ready to give us apartment or house. How do we deal with that?
Right. So that's the thing is that as a newcomer to Canada, you're going to need to go back and talk to wherever it is you're doing your banking and say, look, I need to have something, something that's going to report positively to the credit bureaus, right? So that's why, as I was just saying, the story about the woman who immigrated in the summer of 2019. She'd clearly been, properly advised, so she knew that she needed to have something that would actually start to build credit. Now, if you are very, very new in the country, it's understandable that you may not have any credit score at all because you simply haven't been here for long enough. And again, that's something you would explain to a potential landlord. If they're asking for permission to check your credit, you need to say, I've only been here. Here, look at my passport stamped. I got here, however many weeks or months ago. I'm still very, very new in the country, and I haven't had the opportunity yet to build any credit whatsoever. So you're going to find when you check my credit that I actually have no score at all.
All right. Thank you.
No problem. Now we get to Navitha, who had the question about the score is 600. Okay, so. So you're sort of sitting there at the low end of fair. Equifax would call you. You're not bad. You're not good. You're in fair. I'm going to suggest that for rebuilding credit. So looks like you may have had some credit issues in the past, but that's been some time ago. First step is for you in particular. Do a credit check. Go to the Equifax website, sign yourself up as a free customer, and go in and read the report and see exactly what's showing there. Make sure there's nothing negative showing on the report. And then it's time to go and talk to your bank and say, hey, bank, would you take a chance on me with a low limit credit card? If they say yes, great, wonderful, then just you're gonna just grace period that card, create like crazy, use it, pay it. Even if it's like one time a month, use it, pay it. If your bank won't offer you a credit product, then maybe you need to take a look at a secured credit card, something like Capital One or something like that. Okay, so I see just Jordan had a quick question about something big like putting a trip on a credit card help. As long as it's paid quick, it's good. And to tell you the truth, actually, I'm a perfect example of that. I have a nice vacation coming up next month. December. And I've already put my airfare on the credit card and paid it all off. So I just basically, it was like a wash. I had the money sitting in my bank account. I put it on the credit card, collected those lovely points because you got to love the points there. And it's like I had the cash sitting there. So airfare goes on the credit card. Then boom, you move the cash over there. Cost me nothing. All it did was it generated some nice points for me. I can cash that in for useful stuff. I like getting free stuff. Giselle, your hand is up. Go for it.
Hi. So I just had a comment of a situation that happened to me. It's just for everybody. I am a newcomer. I have now I do have idea, but when I came, I had no idea about the system here. Mm-hmm. And I've been using my credit card for a couple years before noticing that my credit score was going like 3 to 5 points down each month. And I was like, what is going on if I am paying it off? Like, I just use it and I pay it off, right, before the due date. And my bank sent me an email that I have been disregarding for a while. And it was giving me tips on how to manage my credit score better. And it was saying that, not my bank, sorry, it's Borrowell. Borrowell was giving me tips of credit score. And it was saying that if I would spend more than 35%, that would affect my credit score. So then what I did is I called my bank, I incremented my limit, and now I spend about the same time without going over the 35%. And I actually, ever since, I've been going up and up and up.
Yeah, you're going to find actually that most of the time when you're using credit and you're using it and paying it, that your credit score it just increases over time. I'm going to tell all of you that if you find at any point in time, if your bank or your credit card company is ever contacting you and offering you additional credit, if they're saying that, oh, would you like to have a higher limit, or would you like to have this product or that product, that pretty much is a guarantee that you are in the good enough club. Because banks are looking for reasons to offer credit to people who are credit worthy. So anytime if you have
first, I've been working with the financial industry for a few years, and I've always been scared of getting a loan or getting money from the bank because I know how the payback is.
Yeah.
I know. I've been working in collections too, so it's not a nice thing.
Yeah.
And I've always been scared, and every time I would get a call from the bank, like, hey, do you want to have more money? I would be like, no. But then I was like, okay, but I could use this at my advantage. Yeah.
Yeah. The thing is that it's like a game. You need to know what the rules are. And we don't do a really good job of teaching people what the rules are, so people are kind of bumbling around in the dark there. If it's something where you've got something where whether they offer you more money, or like one of my two credit cards, they gave me this stupidly high limit that I will never ever go anywhere near it. But all the same though, they're like, okay, well, we'll give this to you, but it's like, okay, great, wonderful. You'll find this happens later on in life. You get into middle age and you've been using credit for a while, and it's like, they just figure, oh, great, like, here, let's offer you more. I was questioning about, does credit expire? If you're not using it, do they take it away at any point? And the answer is no. They don't want to take it away, because if you're a financial organization, they're always hoping that at some point you're suddenly going to discover this need for lots and lots of credit, because that's how they make money. Like, asking a bank to take away credit is like asking McDonald's to stop selling French fries. Like, they're not going to do that. It's like, they're like, that's what they do. And so when they find somebody, they're able to push like a 5,000 or a 10,000 or a 20,000 limit on somebody. They're not going to take that back. It's like, they're like, oh no, unless they see something really wrong going on in your life where you're crashing and burning, then all of a sudden they'll take it away. Just when you actually need it, they'll take it away. But apart from that, no, it doesn't expire. It's yours for good. Holly, I know we've overshot the 12 o'clock mark, actually.
No,
so
that's okay. Our program actually goes until 12:30. I just always like to have the time so that if they do ask a lot of questions, or if we have to check in with them, which we don't. So that's okay. Giselle, I know you just put your hand up. Is that a new question, or is that from before?
No, it's a new question.
Oh, excellent. Okay, go for it.
So I have been noticing something I don't understand. I actually didn't take the time to investigate or, research, but I've been noticing that it's become more and more popular to file for a bankruptcy. So I was wondering, like, how bad it is. Like, just to know, it's not something that I will need, but have an insight.
So in the land of what I call the hardship solutions to dealing with debt, so we've got multiple levels. The top level is what's referred to as a debt consolidation program. The next step down is called a consumer proposal. And the final step down is a full-on bankruptcy. And the fact of the matter is for a number of years, collectively, Canadians have been getting themselves a bit further and further and further into debt. Some people have, some people haven't been so much, but some people have been, really loading up on credit and taking advantage of credit. So, you find that gradually some people are getting closer and closer to the edge. What's happening right now when the central bank, and of course yesterday, the Bank of Canada once again bumped up interest rates another another 0.5%, right? So stuff like that, for a lot of people, it's like ho-hum, doesn't really affect me that much. But for people who are deeply in debt, And that's when I was talking about, fixed costs, back at the very beginning of my presentation and talking about fixed expenses. There's some people who've really leveraged themselves up and they're at a point where, saying that interest rates are going to go up another 0.5%. For some people, it's killing them. It's absolutely killing them. So it's like there's somebody who's right at the very edge and all they need is one more push. And they are off in the land of talking to, typically they're talking first to credit counselors, and then beyond that they're talking to licensed insolvency trustees. We are seeing. I've actually been told just very recently that our wait times to talk to a counselor. We used to have it used to be like if somebody was like, I need to talk to somebody, we'll get you in the same day. And now I know we got a couple of dedicated counselors who are just like, they're just there to handle people who are calling up and they're like, I need to talk to somebody right now. But even still, there's times where people they want to talk to somebody and we're having to tell them we're going to need to book you. And, we're not able to just turn around and help people immediately. That just tells me there's more people that are contacting us that are, there's more people that are just really, really close to the edge. So anyway.
I have one more thing, sure. Before Jordan, if it's okay. What is a good app or system for you would recommend for budgeting?
I'm not supposed to toss out recommendations, but I've heard so many things about Mint that I know a lot of people, they look for a budgeting app and they just find Mint and they're like, yeah, this works for me. I don't know. I don't use it myself. I'm really old school. I'm a spreadsheet guy for my own finances. Gotcha. So, but anyway, you find something. My mom was she was a pen and paper kind of person. She was like, no. Yeah, I see Holly's kind of she's like,
she would just grab all of her receipts and.
Oh, literally. I mean, she is my mother's she's passed away now, but anyway, so she had this this cheesy little metal strong box that was you could probably kick it's made out of metal, but you could kick the thing apart with with your boot. But anyway, she'd keep all her stuff all in there, and it was all crammed in there, all the kinds of different things. And so she was the epitome of old school. The old school. Again, I'm kind of the sort of the more modern version of I'm Excel, can I put anything into an Excel spreadsheet? Great, wonderful. That'll work for me. But then there's a lot of people, I recognize that for a lot of you, probably your phone is your life. Honestly, my phone is my life too. I would
most of our important stuff are there. Yeah, of course.
Yeah, if I lost my phone, man, I'd be going crazy.
I think I haven't gotten my hands on a spreadsheet because I don't know how to use Excel that good. I don't know all the tools, and so probably that's why.
Yeah, we talked about them in the budgeting workshop yesterday. There's Mint. There's a few other ones we mentioned. I would suggest if you want to use an app, try them out and see which ones work for you. But the other thing is, like Richard was saying, if you don't know how to use Excel, even old school pen and paper. I have a coil notebook that I bought at Dollarama for $1.25, and it literally says budgeting on the front. And each month I use a page, and then when it's full, I just buy a new one. And I literally do my budget each month, and I usually do it a week before the month starts, so I already know where I'm set out for the month. And I still do that to this day. I've been doing it since I was
right. No excuse.
I wanted to just address Jordan's question about do you start? Where do you start? If you're starting off from a complete blank slate, like the woman I mentioned who immigrated to Canada, what you have at first is you have what we refer to as a thin file. And the formula would basically say it can't calculate any score at all. It'll go I don't know, because it's just there's not enough information there. Somebody who is starting off and doing all the right stuff, in my opinion, it drops you about in the middle of the pack. It drops you about the 700 line. It says, okay, there's your starting point. And then you work your way up from there, or you work your way down from there based on whatever you're doing. So there's a lot of people out out there in the world who have never ever had a credit score below 700. So then they just your credit score just sort of drifts up through the 700s, and eventually it drifts up into the 800s. You just keep doing the same thing over and over again, and it'll eventually plateau out. I think most people have plateaued somewhere between 800 and 850 is where you hit your ceiling. And it just hits the ceiling, and it never goes any higher. And by the way, if you are in that group, it's not unusual to see variation in what your credit score, because the formula will do different things. I know for me, both my Equifax and my TransUnion, the scores it gives me are above 800, but I can see a 20-point gap between the two of them. But in the 800 plus range, a 20-point gap is like nothing. It's like it doesn't matter. It's like they're all. It was a question question that came to newcomer. Yeah. As a newcomer in Canada, when you want to rent a house or apartment, the first thing the landlord asks is your credit history. How do you deal with that? So what they want is they want to have permission to check your credit, but what they're looking for, remember that what any organization is looking for is looking for any reason to consider you untrustworthy or unreliable. So when in a country where 23% of all Canadians right now are immigrants to Canada. I don't know if you saw that yesterday in the news, StatsCan said that the census is all in, and a quarter of all the people in Canada, 23%, might as well call it a quarter. 1 out of 4 Canadians were not born here. Okay, so pretty much a lot of us are from somewhere else. And when you are from somewhere else, of course, you come to Canada, you're a blank page at first. So it's actually when a landlord is asking about checking your credit history, you say, yeah, you can check it, but I only arrived here last week or last month, so you're going to find there's actually nothing there. There's no history there yet. Nothing there to be checked, but they'll get it. They're looking for reasons to say no, if there's something risky out there. See, that's the thing, is you don't want to have anything out there that says that you are potentially a bad risk. Because I know there's landlords that will say, having no credit score is fine, but having a credit score below 600, that's not fine, because that means that you caused a problem for some other organization. Somebody else out there didn't get paid. And landlords always thinking, I want to make sure that I'm not the person who doesn't get paid. Hope that helps.
In my opinion, I had a lot of doors slammed to me. No, if you don't have a credit score, I can't help you. So what I had to do is just get a credit card, start building my credit score while renting a room to someone else, cash, That's what I had to do for a while.
Yeah, the thing is that we got beyond credit. We have issues with our housing market, which, I'm not sharing any top secrets here when I say our housing market is a complete, utter mess. And, if you're a newcomer to Canada, you've just walked into our, horrifically bad housing situation here. And so this is not a secret. You all know this. And landlords have the ability to go and pick and choose, especially if it's a halfway decent building in a halfway decent neighborhood. They can pretty much say, okay, well, this person desirable, this person less desirable, for whatever reasons. So,
and even if you have a good credit score and you don't have references, sometimes they would even say no because you don't have references.
Yeah. So
they're so picky now.
Yeah. I don't have a good answer to that. So
no, I know, it's just a comment.
It's a fair comment. It's something that people do need to hear. It's that it's the situation that we have right now. Unfortunately, we've allowed over time we've allowed housing to become something that has become a financial asset. So speculation has taken over. You take a look at a typical home picture a home in Canada and then, take a look at the identical home, even in America, because their housing bubble popped some years ago. And you take a look at like a just typical house in Toronto and say, if you could pick that house up and move that house to Chicago or Pittsburgh or, where maybe not San Francisco, but anyway, a lot of American cities, you could buy that home for a great deal less because it's more of a financial asset than a home here in Canada. And certainly a lot of landlords are looking at, property as a speculation. They're like, okay, great, wonderful. I get people to move in, but also I've got this great asset that's going up and up and up in value. Anyway, Holly, I am going to need to wrap things up in the next little bit because I have a webinar coming up at 1 o'clock.
You know what I was going to say at this point? We're going to be sending out the presentation. Richard, thank you so much for your patience and staying extra time and answering the questions. If anyone has specific questions about their situation, they can reach out to Credit Canada directly and then get support that way. But for now, I think we're going to let Richard go because, yes, I'm sure you have other things going on, and I appreciate your patience. And there was a large group. There were a lot of questions, which I thought
I like that. I enjoyed it. Actually, it turns out that you did have a very talkative group, so I appreciate that. So I like the questions.
Just, one of our clients, her internet dropped and she was trying to get back in but couldn't. So I've just directed her. She will be reaching out to you guys directly.
Fair enough then. Okay, good enough. So thanks a lot to everybody, and hopefully you stay on top of your finances and you never have to talk to a credit counselor again, which would be a really good outcome. Anyway, so you all have a good day then, and hopefully you go and you check your credit report and score at some point in the near future. Anyway, thanks a lot, everybody. Thanks.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
All right. So thank you, everyone. I know we ran a little bit later, but normally go to 12:30, so it's not so bad. We don't have any, I know we were supposed to do a presentation today, but we're already run so late and I have another meeting. So I apologize. We normally are done by about 12 with this presentation. Are you guys okay if we do the presentation on Monday? And I think that was, sorry, I'm just looking who we had. Miru had sent me an email and now I can't find it, guys. I'm so sorry. Those of you that aren't in the Next Steps program, you guys are free to log off. So anybody who's from NYC or Bridges, have a wonderful afternoon, and we'll see you guys all next week in your respective groups. If just Next Steps can stick around, that would be great.